Amidst busy schedules, tight security, and lives constantly under scrutiny, one moment escaped public attention. Not because it was unimportant, but because it was too neat to seem suspicious. A woman appeared in a supposedly secure space. Her demeanor was calm. Her appearance was natural, as if she belonged there. But later, it was revealed that her presence was no accident. Dispatch called it one of the most disturbing incidents ever to occur in secret. A close approach not with shouts of love, but with disguise. And the target wasn't just any idol, it was BTS's Jimin. Not all idol stories begin with cheers. Not all news about popularity ends with smiles. And not all fan love comes with pure intentions. At some point, the fine line between admiration and obsession can blur. Very blurry. And when that line is crossed, what remains is not pride, but fear. BTS's Jimin has long been synonymous with warmth, empathy, and a calming presence. He's known for being gentle, caring, and always appreciative of his fans. But it's precisely that characteristic that often makes him a vulnerable target. In the world of K-pop, the greater the light, the longer the shadow. Dispatch, a Korean media outlet known for uncovering the hidden underbelly of the entertainment industry, this time published a report that left many speechless. Not because of the sensationalism, not because of the romance gossip, but because of the all-too-real tension. An incident that can no longer be dismissed as simply overzealous fans. This is a story of disguises, inappropriate approaches, and a major alarm about the idol's safety. A seemingly normal beginning. At first, nothing seemed suspicious. A woman was seen in the same area as Jimin. She was neatly dressed, calm, and seemed to belong. There was no screaming, no flashy cameras. No aggressive behavior typically associated with sasaengs. That's precisely what made her dangerous. According to circulating reports, this woman was suspected of disguising herself, adjusting her appearance and behavior to appear safe. She wasn't acting like a fanatic. She acted like someone who should have been there. And that's where the oddity lies. Dispatch reveals that this disguise was no accident. There was a pattern. There was effort. There was deliberate intent. To some, this might sound like a drama plot. But for idols whose lives are constantly under scrutiny, a situation like this is a nightmare. When proximity becomes a threat. What makes this incident even more terrifying isn't just the disguise, but the intent. The attempt to approach Jimin wasn't a one-off. There are indications that the woman sought to be in spots that allowed for close interaction. Not to greet fans at official events, but to enter personal spaces, spaces that should be tightly protected by management and security. There were no dramatic statements, no public outbursts. As usual, Jimin chose to remain silent. But for fans accustomed to reading body language and expressions, there was a subtle but noticeable change. Jimin is known for being very open with fans. His smiles were easy to see, his gaze warm. But in the moments after this incident became widely discussed, many felt a slight distance. Not because he was distancing himself from fans, but because he was trying to protect himself. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is precisely where the public began to ask, how many things like this have we never heard about? How many incidents have been kept under wraps to maintain the image of idols are always fine? Dispatch, in its report, stated that this was not the first case like this in the industry. But when a name as big as BTS's Jimin is involved, the world finally listens. Between admiration and obsession, there's a big difference between loving an idol and possessing an idol. Admiration allows space. Obsession demands access. Admiration respects boundaries. Obsession tried to penetrate him. The woman in this incident, as far as has been revealed, didn't scream, didn't chase, didn't make a scene. She chose a far more terrifying approach, blending in with her surroundings, masquerading as a normal figure. This is the dark side of fandom that's rarely discussed openly. Many sincere fans feel hurt by incidents like this. Because the actions of one person can make an idol more wary, more withdrawn, and ultimately create a distance from fans who genuinely want to support them wholesomely. And Jimin, with his sensitive and empathetic personality, likely feels the pressure more deeply than it seems. When Dispatch starts putting together the disturbing pieces, Dispatch never writes without reason. This media outlet is known for being patient, waiting, gathering small details that others often overlook. And in this incident involving BTS's Jimin, what they found wasn't a single incident, but a series of oddities that, when put together, formed a disturbing picture. The woman didn't appear out of the blue. She didn't arrive with the over-the-top energy of the easily identifiable sasaengs. Instead, she arrived in a manner that was overly polished, too quiet, too fitting. According to the reports, the disguise involved more than just changing clothes. She adjusted her demeanor, body language, and even her position to appear part of the system, as if she was supposed to be there. To the untrained eye, she was inconspicuous. But to the security team, accustomed to reading patterns, something felt amiss. Dispatch highlighted how this woman repeatedly appeared in locations close to Jimin's activities. Not in public areas, open to the public, but in spots typically only accessible to staff, crew, or those with official permission. This was what set off the alarm. The question was no longer, who is she? But, how did she get so close? A pattern revealed after it was too late. The most disturbing aspect of this report is the fact that the pattern only became clear after the entire report was compiled. One appearance could be considered coincidence. Two could be considered fate. But when someone repeatedly appears in the same space as an idol, at different times, in a similar manner, it's no longer coincidence. Dispatch implied that the woman understood the rhythm. She knew when to appear and when to disappear. He doesn't force interaction. He doesn't try to attract attention. That's precisely how he's able to survive longer without suspicion. And therein lies the true horror. Because danger doesn't always come with loud voices. Sometimes it comes silently, with a faint smile, with a seemingly normal demeanor. In the world of K-pop, idols live under tight schedules and multiple layers of security. But any system is still created by humans. And humans can be careless. They can be trusting. They can assume something is safe because it appears safe. Dispatch doesn't blame one party directly. But through the way they structure their report, the public is invited to see that the greatest threat comes from those who know how to hide behind a normal facade. For Jimin, known for being friendly and polite to everyone, the situation becomes more complicated. The good manners that have always been praised in cases like this can actually become a loophole, because people who intend to cross boundaries often take advantage of kindness. Jimin remains professional. He continues to smile. He continues to do his job with the same dedication. But for those who have followed his journey for a long time, there's a subtle difference that's hard to explain in words. It was as if he had become a little more alert,
said